sound of the shot was so jarring in Faye's ears. Aya hit the target. Faye threw the gun and approached the target. Aya just glanced at you, then stepped back. Hey bro. Faye looked in the direction of the sound of Angfa, who began to step closer to you. Without being ordered, Angfa took a place and sat in a chair provided in the park. What is it again? Asked Angfa at Faye, because she knew there must be something that made Faye angry and took it out on the bullet. He lied to me again. Angfa looked at Faye and took a sip of alcohol in front of her. After draining the glass, Angfa looked back at Faye. Until when are you going to keep Sepri's born son? It's clear that he lied to you and you still give a chance to you. Faye looked at Angfa. Tonight come with me. After sending the goods I will give you a lesson. Angfa just nodded her head. Faye Malisorn is a ruthless mafia that has no heart. She will only allow opportunities to people she trusts, but if her loyalty has run out, then she will unleash her cruelty on that person. You know, last night I managed to foil a gun deal? Angfa told Faye. Faye looked at Angfa. Right. How much did you get? Angfa smiled. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to sell you tomorrow night. If you want to see, you can come to my warehouse. Who knows you're interested in a gun, huh? Faye was silent. Angfa took another sip of alcohol and looked at Faye. How about the woman who is chasing you? Why are you interested in you? Just take it. Hey bro, he's not an item. If you don't want to give it to me, take it. Angfa smiled widely. Faye took a cigarette and smoked. Yes. Looking at Angfa, who was also looking at Yes. Tonight there will be a shipment of 10 tons of drugs. You're very brave to worry that much. The police won't arrest me. Aren't they also allied with the drug groups? Faye said with a chuckle. Yes. Angfa looked at your cell phone, which suddenly rang. I'll take it. Faye just nodded her head. After seeing Angfa away, Faye went back to smoking cigarettes. Angfa approached after finishing receiving the call and sat back down. Tonight you can't send your goods. The police will patrol. I think Karen, your men failed last night. Faye looked coldly at Angfa. My hands are already itchy. Damn, he messed up alright. Faye got up and was followed by Angfa behind you. Both of you headed for the warehouse not far from Faye's residence. Faye entered. The smell of Dara so wafted in Faye's nose, but yes, she was used to the Dara, wherein Faye's men who wear all black pack and escort Faye to a dark room. Yes, opened the door and let Faye in. Faye entered to find the men of her trust who had been tied to a chair. The sleeping man immediately woke up to find Faye standing in front of him. Elias stepped up without thinking. First, Faye immediately approached the trustee's men and gave one punch. Faye was not satisfied. Two punches landed on the man's face, making the chair the man was sitting in fall over. Faye squatted down and looked at the face of the man who had been battered. I warned you not to test me. You apparently underestimated me. This family is in my hands. I told you not to play with me. Faye's trusted men shook their heads as Faye said that the family was in Faye's hands because she knew the family would be killed. Say it right, damn it. The man couldn't speak properly because they tied his mouth. Faye got up and kicked the man. She turned to look at her two loyal men standing behind. Pick up the cuirass. Faye's men stepped closer and lifted the cuirass, after which the two of them moved away. Faye pulled out a gun and pointed it at her trusted men. The man wanted to plead but closed his lips and only shook his head so that Faye would not kill him. I can't take care of you like that. The sharp eyes made the men not dare to help their friends who would be shot by Faye. Bang, bang, 2 shots hit the man's head and chest. Faye lowered her gun and looked at the lifeless man and the juice that began to ooze out of the man's body. Faye turned around and looked at her two men. Feed your crocodiles and clean up after you. After saying that, Faye left the room. Angfa waited for you outside. Not long after the two men, Faye brought out the corpse of the man walking towards the lake and immediately disposed of you at once, along with the curse that bound you. Angfa saw that it was all too common, as Angfa Aya always saw Faye feed the crocodile. Yes, but this time Faye fed the crocodile her own men. Faye looked at the clock on her hand. Yes, I'm going to do a little transaction at the club tonight. After saying that, Angfa and Faye left the warehouse to go to Faye's house, which was not far from the warehouse. Faye made a special underground room to store drugs and pistols and other items. With a rare long Faye towards the basement, yes, pressed the door code and entered. Angfa followed Faye from behind. Faye began to see the types of drugs that were in front of you. You don't want to menocap ya? Angfa asked Faye when she saw Faye holding methamphetamine drugs. I won't try it. Angfa just nodded her head in understanding. Faye took 2 large packs of drugs. This is the most common type, and the price is also expensive. Faye explained to Angfa. Angfa took it from Faye's hand. What time will the transaction take place? 12 p.m. After saying that, Faye and Angfa left the room. Pack this separate can. Angfa threw the drugs to the men. Faye turned off the car in the parking lot of a fairly crowded bar. Angfa looked around to make sure the CCTV and people around the parking lot. Are you sure? Here, man, how if caught? Faye looked at Angfa calmly. Relax, Law. You don't have to worry. Where's that guy? He will come soon. After 5 minutes of waiting, soon a woman dressed in sexy clothes knocked on Faye's car door. Faye opened the door and the woman entered. Angfa looked at the woman. Faye left the club parking lot and went from there. Not far from the bar, Faye stopped the car, yes, on a fairly quiet street. The woman gave Faye money and Angfa gave you stuff. Check the money, Faye asked Angfa. Angfa counted the money in her hands, which was a lot. Right? The woman got out of Faye's car. Angfa looked at Faye and hit Faye lightly on the shoulder. Do you know the name? Faye looked at Angfa. Charlotte. Jawab Faye cold. After that, Faye died a lonely road, and yes, we'll head to the house, yes, which is in the city. Are you going to the warehouse tomorrow? No, I'm going to check the company. Angfa did not say anything. Faye drove the car, yes, so fast. The second it arrived, the doorman made a gate for Faye, after which Faye parked the car and got out, throwing the car keys at the men. Faye and Angfa also entered. Inside, Jan Sudan showed 12 o'clock. Night, Faye's men, who stood waiting for Faye, bowed respectfully as they saw Faye step inside. Where is the boy? Looks like he's resting, sir. Angfa Suda walked towards Ye's room. Faye went up and headed to Ye's room. A woman who was asleep in Miki Faye's room. Confused Faye quickly Faye approached the bed and saw who was sleeping on Ye's bed. Brad. Upset Faye saw the little woman who slept so soundly on Ye's bed. Faye opened her eyes and saw that the place beside her was empty. She got out of bed and cleaned herself up and went out of her room to the first floor. Where is he? I'm here, looking for me? Faye approached the woman, looking coldly at her. I warned you not to go into Tampa's room without my permission. The little woman, yes, just sat scared, looking at Faye's eyes. Faye walked past the woman and headed for the exit. The woman just glanced at Faye, who had disappeared from sight. Yes, Angfa approached. Yoko turned to look at Angfa, who smiled at you. Angfa approached Yoko, just waiting for Angfa to approach you. Today is not cool, yeah? Angfa asked Yoko gently. Lecture. A short Angfa answer. Get ready. I'll take you. Yoko went up to the room to get ready. Angfa just stared at Yoko, who stepped up. Yes, went to the kitchen to prepare a meal for Yoko. Angfa will not look for Faye Karen today. Faye will check the progress of Prussian, yes. Author POV. Faye and Yoko are not siblings. Faye's parents adopted Yoko when she was a child, but both of Faye's parents died in a tragic accident. Faye doesn't really care about Yoko's presence, but the circumstances that make you have to take care of Yoko. Until now, both Faye's parents have been attacked by an unknown enemy. Faye is determined to find the person who has harmed both parents, yes. Yoko always tries to take Faye's attention because Faye doesn't care about you, even though Faye finances life, but yes, never once showed a gentle attitude towards Yoko. Both of Faye's parents adopted Yoko Karen for a reason. Faye Malisorn is not like a woman in general, yes. She has what a man has, and that's since she was a child. Faye's parents planned to adopt a daughter and raise her after that. But the second plan could not work because both Lebby died first. This is the first time I've ever seen a woman who has been in a relationship with a man who has been in a relationship with a woman. Author POV End. Yoko POV. I entered the room and began to prepare. Karen Piangla will send me after finishing cleaning the body. I walked to the room not far from my bed, looking at my neatly arranged pack iron in the closet. I opened the VA and began looking for pack of in vain and eyewear. After finishing, I went out of the room to the kitchen and saw Piangla waiting for me. He is the one who always pays attention to me instead of Sepri. Faye, who is so cold and ignores my existence when Momi and Didi are together. Yoko POV End. Angfa smiled as Yoko nobly approached you. The two of you ate together. When are you going to graduate? Angfa started the conversation. Yoko looked at Angfa and smiled gently. This year I will graduate. Can you Angfa tell Faye about this? Angfa smiled broadly. Of course I will make you know. The two of them continued their breakfast until it was finished. Angfa drove the car to Yoko. There was no conversation between the two of them until Yoko arrived. Angfa just looked at Yoko, who began to enter the famous campus building in Thailand. Lai grabbed her cell phone and sent a message to Faye. This afternoon I can't pick up Yoko. After sending the message, Angfa died in the campus parking lot. Faye is currently in the meeting room, discussing Didi's Prussian and Momi. Who keeps right? Aya opens the cell phone and reads a message from Angfa. After reading, Faye puts the cell phone back and focuses on mining. Faye drove the car to Yoko's campus. Yes, waiting for Yoko to come out. From a distance, Faye saw Yoko coming out from inside. Yes, she didn't have a friend or a boyfriend. Faye kept watching Yoko from inside the car. Yoko looked left and right to see Angfa's car, but yes, she didn't find you. Faye lowered the car window and looked at Yoko's eyes. Yoko accidentally saw Faye. Yes, approached and immediately got into Faye's car. After Yoko installed the SIPL, Faye immediately drove the car to take Yoko home. There was no conversation on the way home. Yoko swallowed nervously as it was so quiet that it made you not Yemen. Faye turned off the car at the door. Yoko wanted to get off, but when she opened the door wouldn't open. Yoko looked at Faye. Thank you. Yoko said thank you and reached back to open the door, but the door was still locked by. Faye and Yoko was upset. Open the door, I want to get off. Yoko spoke in an annoyed tone. Faye looked at Yoko coldly. What were you doing in my room last night? Yoko swallowed furiously. I overslept. Fall asleep. What are you doing all day in my room? The maid told me to clean up your room, so I went in and cleaned up. Yoko spoke quietly as Faye looked at Yoko, after which she opened the door. Yoko got out and ran straight to the door. Faye got out of the car. She got in and approached the kitchen, where the servants were gathering to prepare lunch. Who ordered Yoko to do your labor? All the servants in the room gasped in shock and stared at Faye, who stood not knowing from them. They glanced at each other, swallowing nervously. I'm asking who asked Yoko to do the housework. The butler swallowed nervously at Faye. He slowly raised his hand and Faye looked at the butler. You gave the order, didn't you? The butler just bowed in fear. He's the owner of the house you dared to order, huh? Faye asked in a bitter tone. Yes. The butler raised his head and looked at Faye's sharp gaze. Really made you shrink. I apologize, sir. Stop working. You don't deserve to rule over you. And for you guys, don't ever ask Yoko to do housework. Faye turned and died in the cooking room. All the servants just stared at each other. It was the first warning if repeated again. Then Faye would use the way yes, so that they mingeti. Yoko came back out of the room after bathing and changing clothes. Yes, down and walked towards the dining table and sat down. Faye was already at the table. A waiter delivered food to the dining table. Yoko looked at the waiter, but the waiter sat respectfully. Faye just focused on eating and did not care about Yoko's presence. Yoko looked at Faye because it was very rare for Faye to eat at home. Faye noticed Yoko, who ate quietly, looking at Yoko's face, which was not far from yes. After that, she got up. Tampa said what Faye passed away from the dining table. Yoko saw Faye's departure and continued eating. Yes. Angfa waited for Faye outside. Faye got into Angfa's car and Angfa drove the car away from Faye's house. Yoko told me this year she will graduate, Angfa told Faye, but Faye ignored Angfa's words. He asked you to attend. I hope you don't mind. Again, Faye did not reply to the two yes until at the warehouse. Faye got off, sat the men. Yes, opened the cardboard. Aya looked at the men beside you. You managed to catch you? Yes, sir. Show me where he is. They walked towards the warehouse and entered. Faye's men opened the door. Faye saw a woman tied to a chair, but her mouth was not closed. Faye approached and looked at the woman. You're beautiful. What's your name? Asked Faye softly. The woman tried to dare to look at Faye, but did not dare to answer Faye's question. You know your friend I gave to the crocodile. The woman's eyes were crying. You cooperate with you to sell goods not according to the price I have set. How much do you get? Faye's tone began to get heavy. Faye looked at the two yes men standing behind you. You two want a taste of your body? Asked Faye to the two men. Yes. Faye's men looked at each other and did not dare to answer. The woman tied to the chair shook her head. Please don't do that. Faye turned around and gave you a horrible smile. Either you want them to taste your body, or I'll talk to the crocodiles. The woman's face was already filled with tears as Faye approached and held the woman's chin tightly. I will let you die slowly. After saying that, Faye walked out of the room. Both of Faye's men also walked out and locked the door. Park. The two maids slapped Yoko's cheeks hard. You dare tell Boss Faye if we give you orders? Is it so hard to just give her the house? Yoko stared at the two servants who slapped her and several servants who were just watching. If you dare to report this to Boss Faye, we will dive you. After saying that, the two maids walked away from Yoko. Yoko cried. Her cheeks were so hot. Yes, she was used to getting rough treatment from household servants because they knew Yoko was an adopted child and did not deserve to be the Yonya of the house, but they forgot what Faye said this afternoon. Yoko entered the room staring at the reddened cheeks and hands of you. Tears of Yatu, seeing your cheeks so red. The knock on the door made Yoko stare at the door. Angfa entered and approached Yoko, who was sitting at the dressing table. What's wrong with your face? Asked Angfa frantically. Yoko stared at Angfa with reddened eyes, and a moment will come out tears The waiter did this to you? Yoko told Angfa by pointing to her reddened cheeks and hands. Angfa sighed and hugged Yoko, who was still sitting on the chair. Stay in the room, I'll see you after this. Angfa released the hug and left Yoko's room. Angfa went down. Faye looked at Angfa, who was in a hurry to approach you. Give me permission, I will give the servants in this house a lesson. Faye looked at Angfa confused. What's wrong? They just tortured Yoko. Angfa told Faye. Faye looked at Angfa calmly. Gather them in the yard to make sure Yoko doesn't come out of the room.